Hi, I'm Craig. Trying something I've always wanted to try before. I spent my entire career working in content in one way, shape, form, or another, and I decided I thought I'd start sharing some of the things I learned. I was thinking this morning, does branded content have to suck? And I don't know what made me think of that. Maybe it's because I spend a lot of time with marketing managers and, Marcom pros and agency pros, and so often content gets reduced to like its absolute lowest common denominator, like keyword search authority or traffic to conversion rates. And it becomes this commodity as opposed to something valuable, something important, something needed, something human. I was talking to some friends last week about the sort of art of storytelling, especially in marketing. I'm a firm believer that people purchase products, but they buy stories, right? And I thought, what's the difference between content, the way we think about it, sort of traditionally in marketing, especially in the digital landscape, and storytelling? And it all comes back to my guy Aristotle, right? Aristotle's Poetics, if you haven't read it, is the only book you really need to read about what makes a story. And then Stephen Pressfield's the art, War of Art is the only work you need to read about how to tell it well, right? What I come back to in Poetics every year is the relationship between objective and obstacle, right? I think that's what's missing when we talk about branded content as this sort of commodity, as this thing that you do, is what makes a story engaging isn't facts or information. That's an anecdote or that's data. What makes a story engaging is knowing what the subject of that story wants, understanding what stands in the way, and maybe rooting for them to get past that, right? Brands can tell those stories, but you can't if you're thinking about that commoditized, sort of paint by numbers content, right? Like, you have to think about what story are we trying to tell. And I think where brands do the best job is when they're telling a story about who the audience wants to be, right? Who do they wish they were going to become? Patagonia does this brilliantly, right? They speak to what their audience values, the life they wish they were living, right? You see this in automotive, right? Like why are there so many Jeep Wranglers on the streets of my little suburb here in northern Cincinnati? It's not like we're like awash in off-road trails. It's because people buy that Wrangler because the story they're telling about themselves is they want to be that person who does spend their weekends slocking through mud or going on great adventures. Patagonia tells stories about sustainable farming and removing dams because the people who buy most of their products are sitting in an office not unlike this, maybe fewer chickens on the wall, but they're sitting in that office wishing they were able to go do something or waiting for that moment when they can, right? The objective is who I want to be. The obstacle is what stands in the way from me being that person right now. And when you think about that as sort of the basis of storytelling, brands have a unique right to win. They have a unique insight into their audience's needs. I would argue they better. Otherwise, what have they developed in terms of products? What have they developed them for? Right? There better be passion. There better be intent in what they do. So does brand content have to suck? I don't think so. But it starts with making a choice to not do content, but instead tell a story. All right, that's all I've got for now. I'll see you next time.